I'm gonna make an attempt to climb to the top of this old roller coaster. Believe it or not, this is the way I have to go.
I'm wading through a swamp and climbing a rusty old roller coaster to get a better view of a land that time forgot. It was once a place of happiness and laughter. Now it's abandoned.
From this view, you can really see, it's like a wasteland up here. Just a shell of what it used to be. You got an ice cream shop here. You can see graffiti. You gotta watch, there's broken glass.
It used to be Six Flags New Orleans, one of the nation's premier theme parks. Then came Hurricane Katrina.
The line from the flooded water, the standing water line, went up this high. The bumper cars are actually a good example of how the park here in New Orleans just literally stopped in its tracks after the storm.
When the park closed in August 2005, the hurricane was looming offshore. It was assumed the amusement park would reopen a few days later. Obviously, that never happened.
This was the entrance to the roller coaster, the Zephyr, and you can see just how overgrown all of this is now.
There are no trespassing signs, but we had special permission from the city of New Orleans to explore the 140-acre grounds. Six Flags has given up on the park. There are no plans to rebuild.
And then, of course, the Ferris wheel is still standing largely intact, and actually it still spins in the wind.
For now, this abandoned theme park is a sad reminder of what once was.
Gentlemen, I gotta say, some of us went to Six Flags for Oktoberfest, Great Adventure, a week or two ago, and didn't look much different than what we just saw.
Some of the weeds were a little more trimmed, but
the Ferris wheel at Six Flags Great Adventure doesn't really turn very much anymore. But oh shit! All right, hello and welcome to episode number 18 of Some Great Adventures, the podcast where old friends who met and worked at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey, chat about our time in the park. As usual, our podcast is made possible by our awesome friends at the Shared Universe Podcast Studio. We're recording via Facebook Live, so the video version is always available on our Facebook page, and the audio version of the podcast will be on all podcast platforms in a few days. I am Steve Hicks, and my co-hosts are
Scott Loudon,
Chris Peluso,
Andy Auletti.
Hey, gentlemen. It feels like it's been a while, even though it's only been like 6 weeks, but it feels like forever.
Yeah, it does.
It's crazy. I'm a huge fan of urban explorers, which is the term that folks who take videos or pics of cool and abandoned places, usually they're considered to be like haunted, which is just really because they're scary as shit because they're old and abandoned. And they're also almost always fully off of limits, obviously, because insurance purposes, they don't want people on their private property falling in holes and, getting injured in the middle of an abandoned, mental asylum, But one of the creepiest things I've seen, and I've been highly enjoying for the last few months, has been looking up old abandoned theme parks and any type of abandoned theme park, and even ones that aren't there anymore, have been destroyed, fully bulldozed over and stuff. If you go on to YouTube and just look up the park, I guarantee you'll find video of urban explorers that broke into that theme park and took massive amounts of video. And some of it is hysterical to watch. There's a couple I saw where people would break in, the Six Flags New Orleans one was one of that one you could see, thousands of videos on YouTube of people that have broken into that park and made it to the top. Also, tons of them of people getting arrested trying to break into the park, which is also just as equally enjoyable. But some of them kind of boggle my mind because it's clear that these people have never been at an amusement park in their life, because they'll go to the top of the coaster lifts and you'll see the stairs falling apart as they're climbing up, but they still go up anyway with no harnesses, no thoughts, no nothing. Woo, look at my video. And you're like, yeah, I'll look at your video. I'm glad it's you idiot, not me.
Yeah, wow.
Log film on any given day at Six Flags.
Pretty much, yeah. When we finally, so we're gonna, the last section of today's podcast, we're gonna go through some of the cooler parks, and there are thousands of them. There's so many theme parks that were created, abandoned, destroyed. But with theme parks, most of the time what happens is they close down for whatever reason. They don't get demolished for a long time. So they sit there very much like the Six Flags New Orleans. That just happens to be the most famous one because that one's it's a full Six Flags park and it sat underwater for so long. that eventually it did get fully abandoned, but it's still all there. So that one being so big is probably the most famous Six Flags one. There's another one that's pretty famous too that we'll go over. But I cannot stress enough, nothing we say will be as cool as if the listeners just Google those parks and either Google it and look at the pictures people post of them, or definitely look them up on YouTube and watch the videos. They are absolutely really, really cool, man. I mean, I wish we could have talked about this last month during the spooky season, because I'm not even joking. Some of them are just, anytime they're being filmed at night, they're freaking spooky as shit. Or if they're being filmed in a thunderstorm, they're really, really cool and spooky. So it's pretty neat.
I tell you, Steve, with one exception that's kind of almost a little creepy in a different way. I drive past the old site where Astroworld used to be in Houston.
Yeah.
And I drive past there every day, and you would never know that anything was ever there.
Wow.
It is gone, leveled. It's just a flat parking lot that they use for overflow event parking.
That's crazy.
And other than the exception of the overpass where pedestrians would walk from the parking lot over the highway into the site, there's nothing there. And it's amazing that they could just wipe out any trace of any one of these parks existing.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
It's funny. Astroworld came up during my research, but I don't think I ended up using it for anything. But Astroworld came up. It was definitely one of them that popped up. I think it might have been, if I'm remembering right, if I didn't see a lot of cool stuff available on the web, then I didn't bother with it, because it's not like people go look it up and they're not going to find cool stuff. You know what I mean? But Astroworld did definitely pop up. That was one of them. So it's funny you bring that one up. We're going to jump into some news first, but before we jump into some news, I just this isn't news, but so at this time of the season, every year since I started my current job, which I just hit 25 years at, this is our busy season. We for the 2 months of September and October going into November, I work like 80 to 90 hour weeks, and I'm just miserable. And it's like the worst thing ever. But then the rest of the year, it's okay. So I kind of tolerate it. I do feel as I'm getting older, that's getting more and more difficult, obviously, and I'm not liking it anymore. So when I read a post in one of the GA groups, this just hit me so perfectly, and it's probably because I'm so grumpy about my own job right now. This was so great. Somebody posted that they were in a ride. This was a month ago, and they posted, I was in a line at a ride at Six Flags, and I think it might have been Jersey Devil, and they're like, the ride attendant was just standing there, and I'm just standing there, and the line's not moving, and he goes, "Hey, you want to hear a bad joke?" And I like bad jokes, so I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "This effing job," and he walked away. I read that, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, can you imagine if one of our employees, when we were supervisors, we were standing there and they said that? I don't even know if I would be able to write them up. I might have just had to laugh and be like, oral warning only. That was too good of a joke. Oh my God, that shit just had me dying. And then it's funny. Here's another thought that I had, and this is actually, I had it yesterday. So yesterday, we in Jersey, we had the effects of the hurricane. So yesterday was like a big rain day for us, and it sucked because it was after having like a really nice week of like beautiful fucking weather. And I realized I have become a normal person, meaning that when it's dreary weather out, even when I didn't work from home, even when I worked in the office, I'd hate getting in the car and driving to work in the dreary weather. It's even worse when you work at home, because like I have 2 dogs that hate rain. So that immediately adds a whole new type of like crap to my day, where I have to walk out like a chump with an umbrella because my one dog will not pee unless I have an umbrella over her, like a little, like I'm her butler, and I clearly am. Yeah. But what made me realize it, so yesterday, I'm coming off of an 80-hour week. I've got deadlines that people are constantly screaming at me about. I have my window open behind us, and it's all dreary. And I'm like, man, do I hate rain days. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow. My entire youth, I loved rain days. There was nothing better than this weather when I was a supervisor at Six Flags. And they're like, well, we're not going to shut the park down. We're just going to shut almost every ride, try to milk it for money. And, you're going to be minimum staff. Send all the major rides home. So you just sat at a ride bullshitting with people, and you had your jacket on so you were cozy and warm. And you'd go over and get like a cocoa or a cider from Granny's or whatever and come back. It was the best thing ever. And I'm like, God damn it, I became a normal human being. I don't like bad weather, but I used to love it. Like, do you guys have any thoughts like that?
I used to like
Well,
storms, but not the rain. I mean, because I would get soaked. Because I was usually, well, my last couple of years I was a soup, but before that I was a regular ride attendant, and you'd be,
Well,
I was
yeah.
going to say, Steve, you understand not everyone got to just chill
Yeah.
out.
I was going to say, I don't know if everybody had this
cocoa.
experience.
All right, hold on. Wait. Let's step back. My primary ride was log flume, and I still loved being up top on a rainy day. I just stayed under my freaking raincoat and read my book. Nobody was on the ride, and if they were freezing. They weren't even trying to talk to me, so I still loved it. But as a supervisor, carry an umbrella, idiot. What's wrong with you?
I worked mine train. We don't work in the rain.
Yeah. If you were a coaster, you were gold. Except if you weren't a supervisor and you were a coaster, you probably got screwed because you probably got sent home and didn't get paid. That was the downside.
That's why I'm having so much trouble. Like, and it's because I'm old. I remember it being about 50-50. As a soup, I definitely agree with Scott as far as like when I was an employee. Holy crap. Those were like, I would have taken a snow day over a cold, rainy day in March and April, or like in October. Wow, is that the coldest days I've ever experienced. But as a soup, it was like kind of 50-50 for some reason. I remember days where I was like loving it, just like you said, just so tranquil. There's nobody in the park. You were happy that it was open. And then I remember there were times where I was like, why are we open? What is the count? Why isn't it closing? Like, and I don't know why, because I wasn't going to get paid for it. But there were just days where it was like, maybe I wasn't feeling it. Can you remember why there were days where we were wishing that it would close? And then there were days, just like Steve said, where I was like, this is great. Let's stay open all day.
No, there's a very simple reason. Because the other thing that would happen on rain days is house parties. And if someone said, okay, I'm closed. If I'm a 120 soup and I close all the coasters and they're like, you don't even need the crew to come back in. They're never opening the coasters today. It's not going to stop raining. And they're suddenly like, house party, my house, 1 hour, and then I'm stuck there all day because the park doesn't want to close, even though we have 3 rides open and shows, and that's it. I'm annoyed. I want to get to the house party. I'm willing to blow off that 8 hours or whatever I'm losing. I'm probably only losing 4 hours of pay. I'm willing to blow that off to go hang out and drink all day, So
I don't ever remember losing pay being a concern of mine at that age. When you were offered a chance to go home.
Yeah, it's true.
It's having bills.
Yeah. And it wasn't a lot of money.
It is true. That's the other thing. That's true. When I was a ride attendant, I lived at home, and I don't think I ever was like, oh no, I can't afford whatever. I mean, I think it was always just money. I was fine,
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was just thinking, what Chris was saying, like April and October when it's freezing, seeing people come on the water rides and they're like shivering and they stay on there. They just keep coming. It was
like going, yeah.
I have to say, I took a picture when we were at Oktoberfest the other weekend of the log flume fully drained. And I was so proud because normally at this time of the year, those idiots still tried to run it. And it's like no one was going on the day we were there. I mean, it was freaking cold as shit. And I'm like, I hated that. That used to drive me nuts where I'm like, Jesus, why are you opening this ride? It's also why the damn entire base was cracked all the time because they left water in there well past the freezing time that they should have left it in, So that was kind of cool. But they don't, most of the water rides, it doesn't seem like they're stupid enough to keep them open now. It seems like they're being pretty smart about it. However, those coasters are like razor blades in the cold and they keep those open, but everybody goes on them. So, whatever, right? All right, let's jump into some actual news. So, it's funny. A lot of times I'd like to say we're equal keel. We both compliment and shit on a park depending on what we see because we're just old men who work there and we're going off nostalgia. But when we see something stupid, we don't have any problem in calling it out because who gives a shit? What are they going to do to us? Say we're going to take your season's pass away? Fuck you. We don't care. There is something they're actually doing very, very cool this very weekend. This very weekend is Veterans Weekend for them. And they're advertising it as honoring all who served. This is pretty sweet. This weekend, veterans, active duty, and retired military personnel get absolutely free admission, absolutely free parking, a free meal, a free drink bottle, 50% retail discount, and commemorative gifts at Six Flags Great Adventure. And friends and families of those veterans that come in, both active and retired, also receive a $20 park admission this whole weekend.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
really freaking cool. I give them a lot of credit on that, man. I think that's pretty badass. I like that. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
They don't get enough compliments for the good shit they do, and that's pretty awesome, you know? Especially on a weekend when they decided to extend their Oktoberfest, which we'll talk about in a little bit because we did go down there and we had, we did some observations while we were there. They extended it to this weekend, which was cool because it was actually really well done. And it's cool because that includes that. They get that too. So that's pretty badass.
Nice.
Another news piece that I thought was really cool, not Six Flags though. Hershey Park announced on November 3rd that they are selling pieces of their coaster that came down, the Wildcat. And that's just so freaking cool, man. They're each piece is engraved with a unique serial number, the Wildcat logo. So they took them out, they stamped the logo on it, they engraved it. They put them up on their site, and I think there's only a few. I don't think there's like a ton. I think it's like a limited edition thing. But if that was like a coaster that you freaking loved, like right now, if Six Flags said, you know what, we took the rest of Rolling Thunder down, we're putting 1,000 of these pieces of the track up, and they have the original emblem burnt into it, their serial number, they're coming in a commemorative plaque. I'm pretty sure Andy might buy one of those, and I'll be honest with you, I'd probably buy one of those too.
Hey, I got a piece of the coaster in my garage right now.
Yeah, but not with all the bells and whistles. You stole that. I mean, that's like me opening my drawer here and taking out my 20 cable car keys. Yeah, I get those too, you know? But I just think that's cool. I mean, how often do you hear about any park when they get rid of a coaster that was like beloved by their guests, that they're like, you know what, we're gonna give you pieces of it. I mean, just neat. I just think it's a neat thing. I mean, did they need to do it? Is it a money generating thing for them? Of course it is. But for people that are really like the ace coaster enthusiasts and shit, I think that's pretty neat, man. I think that's a neat thing for them to do.
Well, that's one of the things I thought as we watched that video at the beginning with just the with Six Flags New Orleans. Like, I would think they would just sell that whatever scrap was there just to make any dollar that they could off of that place.
Sell them a
Like those big panels on the flying wave, like things like that.
They should. I mean, honestly, at this point, it's funny. I wonder how much of that is like the rust is just too bad because it was underwater for I think 8 weeks before it even went under, like it actually leveled out. Pretty sure it was 8 weeks, they said. So 2 full months it sat underwater. That's definitely fucked it up pretty bad. But at this point, like they have no hopes of reopening it anymore, from what I understand. Like it's just not possible. They'd have to revamp every goddamn thing. They've used it for things like, other things. They've used it for like storage and special events, not park related, like like New Orleans related. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, when I did a lot of the research on a lot of the other parks, part of the research would show who they sold their rides off to, because other parks would buy, if they were classic rides, they would buy them. They would take a lot of their shit from them because they'd be like, why not? If nothing else, we got the parts, And apparently they haven't done. I mean, from what I can tell, they haven't done that with New Orleans yet. So I agree with you. That's definitely something. But it seems like that's not a Six Flags way of doing things. It seems like they don't sell their stuff off. So I mean, even look at our part at Great Adventure. What did they do with it? Either they trashed it or they put it in the boneyard. That was it.
Oh yeah. Oh, they could sell tons of stuff if they wanted to.
A lot. Yeah,
but now they made planners out of shit.
I mean, you could buy like
there's like garden
log flume boat, Steve. You could make it into like a couch or something.
Yeah.
I shit you not, man. If I could buy a hydro flume or a log flume boat, I would absolutely turn that into a chair and have it in my living room.
Or a bench
or
something.
Fucking hell of it. It's so cool. I mean, I'd put it up a little higher, maybe a little ramped into getting into it, but I'd make it all like cozy and comfy.
Yeah. Or outdoor furniture, man. I mean, it's built for outdoors, Make it out. You can make a barbecue out of one of those things, man, or a cooler. That'd be awesome.
I gotta be honest with you. I think we might be taking a boat down Prospertown Lake and maybe stealing.
Yes, man.
I think just do a thing of heist in my head.
Nice.
You guys remember? I'm not going to say the name, but I think you all know this story of some rides people that took a boat down Prospertown Lake and tried to steal the TVs out of the queue lines.
What?
You guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
No, I actually don't know that one. What is that, man?
That's a true story, Peluso.
Great.
Yeah, it's an absolutely true story. Someone took some ride attendees took a boat down Prospertown in the middle of the night and came in, and that's when they first put those big TVs in the queue line, and they were trying to steal the TVs through the boat and take them back.
Like some lowbrow heist.
Yeah, no, they had planned it. So what I had heard, or what I remember, what they did was over weeks they slowly loosened the screws in those cases around the
Exactly
television
what I
set.
heard.
Oh, that sounds familiar now.
And they stashed those rafts from Adventure Rivers, and they rode in, like Steve said, at night. Their plan was to put the TVs on the rafts and float them out of there. But
Yes.
apparently people caught wind of what they were going to do, and they're waiting for them when they got there.
As soon as you said loosening the screws little by little, and I was like, oh, wait, now I remember.
Imagine that shit. That's crazy. Shit. I could get a boat out, though, right? They're not that heavy, right?
Walk out with it on our heads, like they carry them or our heads are inside.
Just get a paddle. Just canoe down Prospect Lake.
Exactly. It's like a canoe.
Oh, my God. What about you guys? You guys have any, before I jump into our Oktoberfest visit, you guys have any news?
Well, I read an interesting article, Steve, theme park news that I sent to you guys about Six Flags attendance, which I found pretty interesting considering their new business plan.
Yeah.
So, you guys were there recently in October, and what was the crowd like that day?
Not bad. It was actually crowded, but not bad. However, the ride lines, 45 to an hour.
Really?
45
That's
to an hour.
surprising. Because what they're saying is that their attendance fell like 33% in the last 3 months of the year this year, which are normally, October is pretty big with Fright Fest. And that's coming off of a COVID year, too. They fell 33% of that. And with their new plan to raise prices on everything and bring in, I guess, less people who will spend more money.
Yep.
Which they have found, that people are spending more money on average, but their revenue is down with this 21% decline in revenue. So 33% drop in attendance, 21% decline in revenue. And I'm not sure if they're trying to copy the Disney plan. I really don't think it's going to work. They're more like the Walmart or the Target, which is fine. They should just, be that.
Yeah, I agree. And you can't go by our weekend because we were there on the Friday night on beautiful weather of the last Fright Fest weekend. And they did Fright Fest really well this year. Comparatively to last year was good, but this year was way better than last year.
Do you think the pandemic had anything to do with that? Because Universal Horror Nights last year was like the big 25th or 30th anniversary. We're all psyched, and it wasn't that good at all because of plexiglass and masks. This year, 10 times better than last year.
I do. But so we'll all right. Well, let's jump over to that. So what made this year so much better than last year was the presence of shows.
Right.
So last year, I'm kidding you not, me and Scott, we went to Fright Fest and we saw one atmosphere character as we were walking out, maybe a few in between, but that was it.
There was that one.
90% of what they would do for Fright Fest was shows.
Right. What was that, Andy?
Like 90% of what Fright Fest was shows.
Yeah, but so last year they had the haunted houses. And if you went in those are popular. But we even went in one that we thought was going to be the best one. We saved it for last. And it had two 18-year-old kids that were like, boo, boo. And we're like, what this is how we're ending our haunted houses? Oh, man,
And then one of them insulted me because I laughed at him.
It was in the bloodshed right over near Rolling Thunder. And we're like, that's going to be the best one. It sounds so cool. Lame, so fucking bad. But this year they had such an intense show's presence. There are atmosphere characters everywhere. It was very much like being on Universal's Walk, where they have all the smoke, and they did areas with smoke, like in front of Batman the Ride, smoke areas. They had so many effing clowns with shovels, because a shovel's a scrape, that were scaring the shit out of all the teeny boppers. It was fun as hell. They also actually had a show in the Batman stunt show arena. We didn't see it, but it was going. And I was like, holy shit, that thing's open. There are people in there. That blew me away. We went into Showcase Cinema and we watched the show. And it was obviously, they're all Halloween themed shows. So it was basically, I don't think any of the kids in the show were over 30 at all. I think most of them were from maybe 17 to their mid 20s. They were absolutely fantastic. They did a shitload of acrobatics. They were all kind of dressed up like horror, sort of sexy type dress up, but they were doing these like crazy acrobatic shit on the stage. It was kind of like the old Chinese acrobat show, but with, horror theme to it. Right. And music, and it was highly enjoyable. We all went out of there absolutely enjoying it. Like, we were like, that was really effing good. Like, holy shit. Ironically, Oktoberfest is not in the fest area. They built right next to Johnny Rockets, between where that bar is that we always go to and get our first beer, which is right behind the fountain. They built an actual fest house there with just picnic tables, and it looks really nice. And it's got 10, 15 picnic tables. And then whatever that restaurant was to the left, that was turned into their fest house food restaurant. And here's the fucked up thing. The food was actually really good. On the Facebook page, we posted the menu. It was all potato pancakes with applesauce, bratwurst, massive Bavarian pretzel with beer cheese, lots of actual German beer options. Nice. Very good. The food was decent. We all enjoyed everything we got. And me not eating meat, they had a lot of things like potato pancakes and shit I could eat. So I was actually super happy myself. The only downside I can say is that it was absolutely foreign employees that were working those areas, and they didn't give a fuck. There might have been when we went in to get our food, there was one chick at the register, a chick helping her. The chick helping her apparently either didn't want to touch the register or wouldn't touch the register. So she kept fucking the register girl up by bringing more people up without having them, there's a line, and anyone walking up, she'd be like, what you need? What you need? So letting them cut the line. Now, the girl working the register, for whatever reason, also had to go get the beers and the food and give us the food and then ring us up, while the other girl is letting people skip the line. And then to make it even better, there's at least 6 people behind them just standing around bullshitting, doing absolutely nothing. So as they're running out of food, the girl that's doing all the work is like, hey, we're out of this. And they're like, yeah. And is ignoring her. And we're like, so the one beer I was going to get, I was only getting 2 beers for the night because I had to leave early and be up work. I had to be up 6 a.m. the next morning. So I was like, all right, 2 beers. We'll walk around. I'm good to go. I go and get 1 beer. Tony Rosa gets another beer. His is fine. Mine immediately tapped. She gets that much of foam and it's tapped. So I'm like, Jesus, So she's like, hey, could someone fix this? And then they're like, okay. And she looks at me and she goes, just pick another beer. It's going to be an hour. Pick another beer. That's pretty effed up that the girl actually said that with all those people standing there, Wow. So that was the only thing I could honestly bitch about. Otherwise, I think it was a really, 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 really good time. I have to admit, they had a lot of people there, but we didn't feel like we were crowded. It felt like a typical GA day for us. I mean, we're all experienced with that. And it looked nice though. The park looked really good. I think the real standout this year though was the show's element. It was the characters being everywhere, the show stuff working, like the fog blowing, the lights actually working everywhere. It was just really well done. We didn't even here's my sad statement. This is how I'll wrap up our visit, and this made me really sad. So we go there, and the first thing we do, because we deliberately got there at dinner time because we went on a Friday. So we met at dinner time. We went right to the fest area and we got ourselves dinner. And that was our goal, was to try the Oktoberfest stuff, and it was all good. We had a great dinner, had a beer, met up with a couple other people, went over to the show, watched the show, checked on some ride lines. Manish was with us. He wanted to go on a ride, but every ride that he was naming, we were checking the app and they were 45 to an hour lines. And we're like, we're not waiting on that. Fuck that, right? So we're skipping the rides. We're walking around. We're having a good time. We're snapping some pictures, we're just bullshitting, get another beer. And then it's 10 o'clock and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm out of here. And we're like, all right. And we realize, holy fuck, we're all our parents now. We're all old people. We skipped all the rides because the lines were too long. We ate. We watched the fucking show. We walked around. We actually sat on a bench at one point. My mom did. We're old people now. What the hell? Yeah, it was both funny and bumming that we all realized that the only ride we were all like, hey man, let's just do that one. There shouldn't be a line for that, was the Houdini ride, which isn't really a ride. It's we're like, oh wow,
Is there no hayride?
No, they haven't had hayride for years, dude. But
Oh, wow.
they did have all the haunted houses. This year we skipped it though because I mean, yet to do the haunted house, you have to buy a special pass, and it doesn't come with your admission. And then it's like you can either buy the regular or the fast pass. It's just a pain in the ass. And it was the same haunted houses as last year, so we already did them. So I was like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised that I love the hayride, by the way. That was probably like the best time and everything.
I agree.
But I'm still surprised that they had it for so many years. Like somebody like me, like again, I went out to the parking lot. I barely knew how to drive stick, and boom, 15 minutes later, I'm now a hayride driver. You know, and I did it for like 2-3 years. And it was awesome.
Entry to that job.
Wait. How about a better one? I'm one of the trainers training people how to drive a stick, and I hadn't drove a stick in like 10 years.
That's what I mean. And it's all right now. Pile in these 40 souls and drive over and over again.
She was like, "I want to drive a tractor." I was like, "But you don't know how to drive a stick." Literally, like, gave her like a 2-minute lesson in my car, and then or she did crash.
I was just gonna say, was that the person that ran into the koala bathroom?
Got my way.
Trainer.
I was gonna say, we didn't cover steering. I just taught her how to work the stick, if you know what I mean.
What a surprise! For one person, Scott Loudon trains, runs into a building with the wagon.
She just wanted to be able to say she knew how to drive a stick, so you know.
So good.
That was part of the fear factor, though.
Exactly. If they
You
only
really
knew.
you weren't sure if you were going to make it back.
That's true. Yeah, I mean that was pretty much Fright Fest. We had, ironically. So me and Scott went last Fright Fest, and they made us an offer for like, I don't know what it was. It was like $25-$30, and they were like, season's pass with free parking for next year if you do it right now. And we were like, all right, it's less than what we paid to get in the park today, right?
It's less than parking.
Yeah, it was real. It is. It actually is. It's less than parking. Ironically, I never end up going until like 2 weekends ago, and it already expired. It was like from the day you bought it to the day. So it ended in September, although I'm pretty sure we were there in October. I should have went through October, but it ended in September. But then this is so funny. Like I kept getting emails from her. They're like, hey man, if you renew now, we'll drop 20. Hey man, if you renew now, a week later, we'll drop 40. And I was like, so finally I waited till they got it down where I paid like $45-$50 or something. And the scam, though, this year is that you don't get the water park and you don't get the safari, but you do get the free parking. But it's also only until, like, I think October 1st of next year. It's, like, also kind of a scam.
Yeah, because they know the popularity. Yeah. They
know you're going to come back for Fright Fest. Yeah, right, exactly. So, but that kind of made me laugh. So I did get a season's pass, but I was like, well, they really got me good last year for the extra, like, $45-$50. I never used that piece of crap, but whatever.
Nice.
So here's a funny thing. You guys know that we talked about the first time I went to the park in a long time. They have the ultimate super flying wave now. Okay, so where the flying wave was, they still have a flying wave, but now it doesn't just go up like 6 feet. It goes higher than the freaking big wheel. And they changed the name to the Sky Screamer Extreme Flight. Okay, I don't know. I'm never good at doing this, but let me see if I can.
Well, I remember when we walked in there and we saw that, you were like, I'm not riding that.
I did. And you know what? I'm horrible at sharing, so I'm not going to try the share in here. Hold on. Maybe I can. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, I can do this. So hold on. Let's try to share something here. I want to show you guys something that kind of cracked me up.
It's like watching my father try to use a computer.
It really is. I am really like an old man at the computer. It's not even funny. Not even funny. All right. Come on. Let's go share. All right. You guys see that?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what it looks like. Now, that's actually the Kings Island version. So now imagine this, but it's the exact same thing. It goes up that freaking high, well above the big wheel. I was shocked. I went on the one time, and you look down on the big wheel. I was like, all right, give him a lot of credit here, All right. So you got that. Now, then you got that one seat. This is the actual flying wave. You see this one different seat? You guys can see that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's only one on it. They have a $10 harness charge if you want to go in that seat. And what that seat does is allow you to fly like Superman.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So
Oh,
instead of the typical, you do that. And so this guy, Timothy B. Nelson, posted this on one of the Facebook groups where he's like, $10 well spent. And it looks fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, here's where the joke is. So we go, and I'm like looking for it because, our friend Dina was the one that told me, hey, they have a ride. They're charging a $10 harness charge. I'm like, what the fuck are they charging to harness you in? If you say I'm going to go on the ride and not pay that, do you just not get harnessed? I'm like, well, I don't understand. Now I understand what it is, though. It's an upcharge for that special seat.
Yeah, it's a special seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the best. We go to the ride, and there's a girl in the front, and I go up and I go, hey, so is there actually a $10 harness charge to go in that? She goes, yeah, it's a $10 upcharge. She goes, it's worth it. And I go, okay, where do we pay? She goes, I don't know. And I go, does anyone know? She goes, no, people have been asking all day. We don't know where to send them.
She should be like right here. I'll take it.
I know, right? So then
Yeah.
I'm like, so you
Cash
can't.
only.
Well, all right. So I'm like, so if I want to go on though right now, you guys can't harness me. And she goes, no, you got to pay first.
What is this, an Abbott and Costello routine?
I look over at the group of people that are like, what's going on? Like, what did she say? And I'm like, okay, thank you. I'll go over and go, never mind. Typical GA. We're done with this. Yeah, we're done.
Like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like,
It just cracked me up so much because I'm like, how do you not know? Like,
You know that stand over there that had hamburgers, they took the money too.
It's funny though. I said, you know what this is? I just tried to order a goddamn sundae at McDonald's and the machine is broken. You know what I'm saying, right? Like they were just like, we're not harnessing anybody tonight. We're done. We're not
We
doing
don't feel like
anything.
dealing
We're
with
done.
I was going to say, do you really want that person harnessing you in at this point anyway?
Well, she
True.
was actually an attendant only at the front of the entry to the queue line. I don't think she's harnessing shit, you know? But I was just dying because I'm like, what? I'm like, such typical GA bullshit, you know?
I love how she enticed you a little bit. It's worth it.
right?
Can't have it.
Can't have it though.
Hey,
That's a
Tom
lot
is
cheaper
thrilled.
than
You're
the
like,
Sky
hey,
Coaster.
Tom, thanks for joining us, man.
It's like that Eddie Murphy skit. You want to lick? Psych.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's awesome.
That's exactly
You gotta
it.
pay. Where do I pay?
Exactly it. Here's another thing I saw that did kind of crack me up. So I've bitched about this before. You guys heard me bitching about this, where I said, like, I bitched when we did our food tour. We were trying to figure out, like, what can I eat at the park since I don't eat meat, right? And there wasn't a lot of options. And one of the things that pissed me off is, like, when you go in Johnny Rockets, it's not a real Johnny Rockets. Like, it's the franchise name, but those are not Johnny Rockets burgers, and they're not Johnny Rockets shakes, which is what they're known for. And they don't have almost anything on the menu. Like, literally all they have is you can get French fries, onion rings, a mix of French fries and onion rings, a burger and chicken tenders, and the fake shakes that are not Johnny Rockets. It's really disappointing.
Right.
So somebody actually posted on, like, one of the things, whatchamacallit, about, fake ass Johnny Rockets, and like, holy cow, did you know that Johnny Rockets doesn't actually have any Johnny Rockets food? And a lot of people were laughing at the person, but I was shocked too about it. I was like, that seems really stupid to me. Like, I don't understand. Like, why are you even buying? It's just like a bait and switch. Like, if I want Johnny Rockets and you tell me you have Johnny Rockets and I go in there and it's not Johnny Rockets, then of course I'm going to be annoyed. So
Right.
I'm with that girl. I was very annoyed by that, right? And then somebody else posted, whatchamacallit, and this one I thought was really good. This guy, Jason Barlow, posted pretty recently on one of the Facebook Great Adventure pages. It's called Great Adventure Connoisseurs. He posted a picture at 7:05 at night where it was 5 minutes after closing, okay? And the sweet shop right at the front gate, right as you're exiting, where they have, they sell coffee, they sell the funnel cakes, they sell all those snacks and everything. Fully closed. Every single store there's what's up?
That's one of the first places I work. Front gate soft serve.
There you go. All right. So here's the thing, though. They have a Starbucks in there too. Okay, and like everything. So it's like one of those things where it's like that is the perfect thing to be selling when people are leaving the park. Like, because that's exactly what you want. Like, I'm a coffee fanatic, and when I leave and I have to drive home, I want a cup of coffee. So I'm always looking, and everything's shut down. Nothing is open. So this dude pointed out that they bitch about all the, how everything is marked up and nobody's buying their food and they're trying to change it and blah, blah, blah. But then they don't make any attempt, though, to use logic in what they're doing. And I agreed with him. I'm like, it's totally true.
Disney, the park, the rides close, let's say at 9. You could walk through Epcot, take an hour to get out of there, shopping, food, everything. Yeah.
All of the shops are open, and most of the snacky foods are open. The restaurants are closed, and they should be, but snacky foods are open.
Right.
So I agree. And so that kind of made me think, and I was like, it's funny. So I'm going to segue that into, I'm not going to go into it a lot, but I went to Kings Island, which I'd never been to. And they turned it into what they call their Halloween haunt at Kings Island. Also, their Tricks and Treats Fall Fest. It's all combined, kind of like Great Adventure has Oktoberfest and their Fright Fest combined. And so I went and visited my family in Ohio, and that's their big park. They have a coaster called the Beast. That's their big roller coaster. It's fucking amazing. My nephew was like, "You're gonna love the Beast. You're gonna love the Beast." I did love the Beast. Nice. It takes you through what feels like a mine train tunnel toward an end that's pitch black, even in the day, at such a high rate that you're just in heaven if you're a coaster enthusiast. It was so fucking fun. But the thing about that park that really blew me away was all the franchise shit they had. They had so many franchise things in there. They had Starbucks. Real Starbucks, not like some discounted bullshit half the offering Starbucks. They had Tom and Chi, which is my favorite cheese, grilled cheese place. We used to have a ton of them in New Jersey. Used to be at all the stops and everything. Now we only have a few, but they had a Tom and Chi, and they had at least half of their menu, but everything they made was the actual Tom and Chi. Like, even though they didn't have everything on their full menu, what they did have was their actual food. It wasn't a fake version of it. You know what I mean? Right. They had Auntie Anne's pretzels. It was an actual Auntie Anne's pretzel. They had an Italian family restaurant called La Rosa's. And my cousin told me that they made a big deal a couple of years ago of trying to switch their restaurants and all their food offerings out to actually be real food offerings and not like Six Flags food offerings. And it showed. Everything we went into was amazing. So, like, you had the Sweet Treat place at Great Adventure, which was closed at the end of the day, right? And it, they have funnel cakes there and they have other stuff, and that's it, right? So they have the same type of thing there, okay? They have what they call basically their funnel cake place, okay? But when you go in there, they had all these types of Halloween funnel cakes, spiderweb one. They had like special like gummy creatures on them and stuff. And then they had pumpkin beignets and coffee. And for this fat kid, the pumpkin beignets were amazing. And they're all made right in front of you. Everything's fresh made in front of you. So effing good, man. I was just in heaven. Everything that they had as a food offering was absolutely fantastic. And they had a shitload, man. They had everything. They had a Ralph's Ice Cream Shake Shop. They had a jukebox diner. They had Coney Confections. They had a Chicken Shack. They had Hank's Mexican Grill. I mean, and I asked my cousin on all the other places. Obviously, we didn't try everything, right? But I was just like, are all these places really good? And he's like, yeah, everything we've had here is always really, really decent. So that actually, just made me even sadder for Great Adventure's offerings.
How
because
the prices, were they comparable to GA's prices for the crap food, or was it more?
Not more. Okay. No. As a matter of fact, they might even be cheaper, to be honest with you. I mean, I didn't pay any extra for the Tom and Chi than I would have paid for a Tom and Chi when we had the one open in Freehold. It was the same prices. Wow. They did not upcharge. I didn't notice an upcharge at all. So, and I could be wrong. Maybe they were, but to me, it did not seem like they were higher at all.
Yeah.
The other thing I can say is that if you ever get a chance to go to that park during Fright Fest, it's beautiful. The theming in that park blows away anything I've seen in other theme parks for Fright Fest. There is just so much. Every area had its own stuff. They had animatronic things that were so big. I didn't post anything because I wanted to talk about it on here first. I'll post everything that I took pictures of and that the video I took on our Facebook page so people can see it. They even had a guy that was like 8 foot tall that was like a troll that was sleeping. And when you walk by, he would talk to you, basically. He would wake up and then start yelling at you and shit. They had a live band that looked like the Beatles, but they were skeletons playing. It was just so badass, man. They had so many cool things. And when we talk about being staffed with like atmosphere characters, they had them out the ass. And we're talking really detailed costumes. I mean, like, it's almost like they brought in like Halloween cosplayers, that spend like a year working on their stuff, like beautiful stuff, like voodoo men on stilts Like, I mean, just really cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
Their rides also are more Six Flags in the nature of the ride, meaning they're not like VR as much like, like Universal and Disney try to do. They're more like Six Flags, like, they had a log flume, they have roller coasters, they have that type of stuff, right? However, their queue line theming is really beautiful. Like when we were on the queue line for the Beast, every like step, they have different things. Like just really like interesting stuff to kind of keep you interested. You know what I mean? The funny part about them is that like the first thing we went into was like, it looked like we went to a Scooby-Doo haunted house. The queue line, the outside, the ride was like the Justice League Rocket Great Adventure where you have the gun and you zap things. Okay, you're zapping ghosts and everything, and you get a score on your car. You're with another person. And then ironically, it turned out that, it literally, they used to be themed to Scooby-Doo. And they no longer had Scooby-Doo, so they just removed all the Scooby-Doo references. But it was so funny because when I walked in, I'm like, this feels like the haunted house in the opening of Scooby-Doo. I was like, it is. It was. He's like, it was. Now it's all Woodstock and Snoopy. So it's like all cute little Woodstock and Snoopy sitting on the benches and shit. And they have like, a kid's theme park with and everything. But even that stuff, the theming on the rides is beautiful. Really, really good job. I got to say, if you ever get a chance to visit Kings Island, man, I don't know what it's like during the summer, but during Fright Fest, it was fantastic. I hope I get to do it again next year. It was really, really cool.
It sounds a lot like Horror Nights at Universal.
It is. It's good. I've done that. I've done Horror Nights a couple times. It's very comparable.
Sounds very similar. Yeah.
It is.
No,
it is.
Which is fantastic. Yeah, no, definitely want to check that out.
Yeah.
With the food ordering, Steve, have you does Great Adventure do the mobile ordering? Have you seen that? Because that was a game changer at Universal and Disney this time around. Like they've had it for a couple years now, but they've got it to a point now where it's very seamless. The mobile ordering, like I'm looking at people waiting in line for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. It seems just to order food, get their food. Yeah. Like there were times we walked into that Leaky Cauldron at Universal, which is a very popular restaurant during
I've been there a few times.
Ordered, sat down, food was there. All happened within about 3 minutes. It was unbelievable. That was
so you order it on the app, and so you're pre-ordering on the app, and it's kind of like door dashing, but in the restaurant.
Exactly, man. And they just bring it right up, and you get seated faster as well, or you could at least look for a table. There's places where you get seated, places where you have to look for a table. Most of the mobile ordering, you're looking for a table, which is great because it gives you time. Like while the food's being made, you're looking for a table. It was a beautiful thing. Same thing at Disney. The mobile ordering was wonderful, like saved so much time, and a little clearer too. I felt like you're typing in exactly what you want. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Very, very.
I do not think they have that at Six Flags.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know where we spent it.
I mean, it's funny. I'm thinking of my experience in Banya Oktoberfest food, and I'm like, I don't know how they'd ever do that there. I honestly don't know how they would do it. But
we were in Disney last spring, and we'd use the mobile order. You just walk up and grab it. It was awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Show up.
That is pretty amazing. Nope, I don't think so. I could be wrong. I mean, but I don't think they have it at Six Flags.
Some of them that had tables, you would sit down to the table, type in like table 41, and they would just bring it over to table 41.
I definitely don't have it at Great Adventure because I couldn't family. You had to wait in line. You had to order.
Keep it old school.
I like our podcast to be a little historical, where we educate a little bit, because I find that I'm just
Queen said they do have it, but it's not as good. Shocking. Thanks, Brian.
You know what I'm finding? I'm finding that like the more we talk about some subjects, I realize like, how the fuck did I not know this? Like, how did I work at this park for this long and not know this? Like some things are so base that it drives me nuts, and I'm like, did I just never pay attention to anything in my teenage years? So we're gonna play a little game.
I suck at these.
Oh, I'm gonna start with you too. So because I don't want you cheating and looking at my sheet over here, which you could be doing. So I don't want you cheating, and you are a cheater, motherfucker. So all right, here's the simplest game in the world. Okay, we all worked at Six Flags Great Adventure, right?
Well, some of us worked more than others, but yeah.
Yeah, we all worked more than you. Correct. Okay, so we all worked. That's why we were promoted quicker than you. Correct. Okay. The Six
I
Flags.
love how he's like over your shoulder. It's so good.
I don't even have to hit him. I can just do it like this. It looks like I'm hitting him.
So good.
Here's the easiest thing in the world. Scott, name one of the Six Flags.
Oh, it was Six Flags Great America.
Oh.
Are you talking about the countries or are you talking about the parks?
The franchise name Six Flags. Name one of the Six Flags that makes up the name Six Flags.
Oh, Mexico.
Ding!
I can name all six.
Texas, baby.
I was like, if Andy, I was going to you next because I'm like, if you don't get one, I'm going to smack you through this video. Ding!
Wow.
What
I
is
have
it?
no idea. I'll go Jersey only because there's one in Jersey.
Eh.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think there would be. Yeah.
Well,
on the TV.
remember something. There wasn't one in Jersey because when Six Flags was first formed, it was formed in Texas.
right.
So,
It's the Six Flags that have flown over Texas that are the Six
Ding.
Flags.
Yep.
Nice.
I got them all. in
now,
my head.
but before we go into what the rest of them are, when we worked there, do you guys have any clue what they were?
Yeah.
If a guest walked up and said, "What are the Six Flags?" Would you?
I
know?
would have said
Yeah,
Mexico and
because they
Texas.
announced them on-
They all flew.
Did they? I
Yeah.
never heard that.
Flagpoles
Ever.
right outside operations.
What's that?
On all those flagpoles right outside of operations. Isn't that where they had all the Six Flags?
They
flying?
did. And what's really funny is when I was reading this, I literally was racking my brain going, how would I have not noticed? And then I thought that, and I was like, I think I'm so stupid the flags were right in front of ops.
No,
I think I'm so stupid they were right there. But you know what? No one ever, I mean, when I got hired, nothing was ever told to me. Like there was never a historical thing or anything like that. And no one ever said them in front of me. So I actually only knew Texas too. That's the only one I knew.
One of the commercials that used to play on the TVs always said that the six sovereign governments.
Well, that would make sense because they did have educational stuff on those TV things. However, I wouldn't count that for myself because honestly, I never was sitting in the queue line listening to those TVs. If anything, I stayed the fuck away from queue lines. That was just Fight City, and I didn't want no part of that, you know. So, but yeah, the rest of them are. You want him? Yeah.
Spain, the United States, France, I think was there
Yep,
too.
yep.
And
And you got Texas, so you got two left.
no, I said Mexico already.
You got Mexico. You got one left.
Hold on. Spain, France, America, Texas, Mexico. What the hell? I can't think of the last one.
It's the Confederate flag, the Confederacy flag. Yeah, I mean that one would be tough. I wouldn't have figured that one out even if you had just hit me. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's just one of those things though where I looked at it and I'm like, how the fuck do I not know this? Jesus Christ! I'm reading this article on this and I'm like, I feel so dumb sometimes. Like, I should know this shit, you know?
Whoa, hold on. Let's.
I'm pretty sure years ago when we used to go for the park orientation class that they had a section where they go over like the history and they would explain that, Steve. You
I
probably
was
just
going to
weren't paying
say
attention.
when Time
I
Warner,
have a feeling I was looking at girls. I have a feeling I was not paying
yeah,
attention.
'cause when Time Warner came in, they changed the name from Great Adventure to Six Flags, and I think there was a little bit of an intro, like Andy was saying, in the orientation classes and whatnot. Yeah,
Right.
You
That
got
was
other
just
things on your mind.
I think it
Nice.
says they do have mobile ordering, but not as well.
Yeah, he said I was like shocking that they're.
We'll have to look into that.
I'm sure there's an upcharge.
Oh my god!
Well,
Yeah. It's
just
gotta
like
be
that,
exactly
just
like
like that harness thing. Like, hey, I have mobile ordered. Oh, I don't know where they sent your food. They just
You know
sent
what's
it
funny,
out
though?
to the ether.
With the harness thing, I don't condemn them for that because there's only one.
Right.
Like there's one seat with that harness, and there's a lot of seats on that
It's
ride.
on
So if
your
you want
ride.
that special seat, $10 to be the only guy going, "Fuck you, I'm Superman," you know, like.
But we're
that's
talking
gonna work.
about
I'm okay with
training,
that
though.
one.
You know that's in the training. Like, hey, by the way, there's one seat that's different. You know what I mean? And somewhere along the way, they're like, well, that $10 is going to go here.
Yeah. Very true.
So funny.
All right. So there are some really, really, really cool new rides coming. So before we jump into our last segment, which is going to be talking about some of the abandoned parks, I just wanted to bring up a couple really cool rides that if you're a ride enthusiast, you should definitely look up and check out. Most of them are opening next year, or they're in process of opening and maybe not fully ready. Even, we don't have an opening date yet. But I'll let Chris hit the first one that I am most excited about, that because I'm just a massive fan of the video game and the movie, both movies, even the animated series, and that is the Tron ride that is going to be opening up. So, Peluso, I know you've been tracking it, so I'm not going to steal the thunder. I'll let you talk about the Tron ride.
I thought I had a shot. I was just there a week ago. I thought I had a chance, but before even arriving, it was looking good, from the pictures and everything, but still a wee bit way to go there. The ride itself looks like it's in great shape. But when you go on the People Mover, you get a really nice bird's eye view, and you can see these pictures online if you Google them. The surrounding area is a train wreck. Like, it's still, I don't know what's taking them so long. I almost feel like it's deliberate. They had Guardians of the Galaxy open recently. Why have two open at the same time? We don't need to. Let's save this one for a big splash in the spring, which is when Tron's going to be opening as of now. It should be spring 2023. They did have it lit up, though, which was awesome. And like a child, I would go to the window every night and to the balcony, and I would look out because I had the pleasure of being able to see it from my balcony, and it was beautiful. They didn't have it lit up every night, which was also kind of cool. I would say out of the 8 nights or whatever, maybe about half of them, it was lit up where it was blue. And then a couple nights, for some reason, it was like this ghost white color, just blinding white. But both badass. And then a couple nights just dark, where only Space Mountain was lit up, which is right next to it. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be incredible. Just looking at it alone is fun. I mean, those blue lights, man, are fantastic.
I was just going to say, when you see it lit up right now, does it have the full Tron neon look, like proper neon look?
Yes. And like I said, I could get that from the balcony at Grand Floridian, and it's like, maybe a mile away, and you still get that. It was fantastic. It looks like it's going to be amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and I'll say Guardians of the Galaxy, a lot of fun. I don't know if it's going to be as impactful as Tron, from what I hear about the original Tron ride that's in I think Shanghai. But everyone goes ballistic for it. But yeah, Guardians. I don't want to blow it for anybody. You know what I mean? It's one of those rides where you want to experience the first time, and right. Yeah, I thought it was wonderful. My wife thought it was wonderful for the first half, and then she had some sort of metamorphosis experience where she was like in shock at the end of it. It combines many rides into one. It's an experience. It really is. But I thought it was wonderful, though. Indoor, mostly dark ride. A lot of fun.
Nice. Well, it makes sense that they would put their enthusiasm and time into getting Guardians open first, considering the Guardians holiday special drops this month.
Right.
And then the Guardians 3 drops beginning of next year. So, right. and then that's it, because, James Gunn is now the head of DC, so he ain't doing no more Guardians.
Done with Guardians after that. And I love Chris Pratt. I think he's fantastic. He's so funny. He mailed it in a bit. Don't expect a lot from that free video. Zoe Zardana, I think she was trying. She was really trying. The others, the writing wasn't so good. She was
still stuck in Jake Sully mode from working on Avatar for the last 25 fucking years.
Possibly could be. But he didn't seem like he was ready. Like he showed up. What am I doing here? All right, give it to me. Like, who am I this week?
That's funny.
Failed it in a bit, but the ride is a lot of fun.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Another one I'm looking forward to, and this is from an article in Entertainment Weekly that I'm going to read from. Stunning Wizard of Oz land, including Flying Monkey Coaster, coming to Warner Brothers theme park. You'll be able to follow the Yellow Brick Road to a recreation of Emerald City and Dorothy's Kansas Farm at Warner Brothers Movie World's newest edition. And in case you don't know that, Australia is where Warner Brothers Movie World is. So, the land that you can die in 1,000 ways is where you have to go to this theme park. Okay. However, they are working on a full Oz themed land, which is ironic that we're even talking about it, considering that Six Flags was originally supposed to open with an Oz-themed land.
I was just going to say, that was always rumored. It was always suggested. When I was in my gold
standard. It's in the plans. They have plans where they had it planned out.
Yeah, it was late, right? Yeah.
Yep. So the whatchamacallit, the concept art shows that the suspended roller coaster will be themed to the Wicked Witch's castle, with the iconic flying monkeys soaring around the structure. that right there, I'm already like, oh, I want to go. You know,
Cool.
I'm like, that's so fucking cool. They said that whatchamacallit, it's set to open in 2024, so that one won't even be opening next year. And they said that park does, ironically, feature a shitload of other Warner Brothers stuff, just like our parks do, Six Flags. I thought that was kind of funny.
Right.
They have roller coasters themed the Superman, Green Lantern, and a ton of DC villains. So I don't know much about that park, so I don't know what other ones they have, but I'm definitely like excited for that. I think that's just cool that we are actually going to see a Wizard of Oz land at a theme park. Ironically enough, one of the urban closed theme parks we're going to talk about was a Wizard of Oz land theme park in the United States.
It is remarkable considering Wizard of Oz, basically the movie came out in the 30s,
And it's still, but people still watch it on holidays. So
Yeah.
it lives. Kids are introduced to that. And honestly, if I had a kid, that's a great movie to introduce them at the right age because it's still wonderful.
Yeah,
It's got everything you want.
Oh, I know how to watch it.
Yeah, it holds up really well. Another one that I talked to you guys about, but we've just never gotten to talk about. This came from Travel and Leisure's article. America's first rotating water slide just opened, and this was on May 31st that this article comes from, and it goes up to 25 miles per hour. I'll post this article to our Facebook page so people can see what it looks like, but they describe it as rotating 3 times per minute while you sit on a raft holding up to 4 people. A new water park attraction expects to splash and zip where none have gone before. The water park is Mountain Olympus Water and Theme Park in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin, which surprisingly, I don't know if you knew this, but they are known as the water park capital of America, that state, which kind of cracked me up. I'm like, all right, I didn't know that, you know?
Yeah.
They said the only other 2 rotating water slides in the world are in China and Poland. So they have the first one that's here in America. It's dubbed Medusa's Slide Wheel. It lasts approximately 96 seconds, but basically you soar 80 feet in the air. It spans 100 feet in width, and it's like a cross between a water slide and a Ferris wheel. You enter through an automatic tube conveyor on a raft. Riders slide forward and back while experiencing the thrill of speed, G-force, and airtime at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. And there is a video attached to it that is like, it's not a live video. It's one of those concept videos. And I'm going to be honest with you, I watched it like 100 times already in the last year. And I still don't understand how the fuck this thing operates. I have no concept. I'm like, it is literally a water slide set up like a Ferris wheel. So it rotates while you're going through the tunnels. And at 96 seconds only, that's a long effing time. It sounds short when you hear that, but 96 seconds is not short.
No.
That is a long time, like.
No, that's a long time. When you
So I'm trying to picture it. So I'm picturing like kind of you sitting in a water slide and you not moving, but the slide is rotating, so you're kind of still navigating it as it goes. But you're kind of.
I don't know how good you're gonna be able to see this in the thing. That is a picture of the slide.
Oh.
That right
okay.
there. So you can see how the tube is set into a Ferris wheel structure to go around and then drop you back out the other side. Fucking crazy, right?
It looks like it could have
Doesn't
a
sound
hang-up.
fast enough though. 3 times a minute to carry you upside down.
I know. This is what's
Yeah.
well, they say G-force speeds, but then they say 25 miles per hour, and I'm like, that's not really G-force, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's.
I think the only thing we could do at this point is we have to go on a trip next summer and ride this fucking.
Yeah,
ride.
exactly. That,
To the
fully
water park
understand it.
capital of the world. Yeah.
It is the water park capital.
It is. I mean, we could hit a lot of water rides while we're there. And you know me, I absolutely fucking hate water parks, so this will be fun,
Nice.
However, let's transfer to the one last ride that has me super fucking excited, man. This is and this gives us, I saved this for last because it gives us a reason to visit Andy, because it's going to be at Six Flags over Texas, and it opens next year. They're opening the Aquaman Power Wave, okay? And it is pretty badass, dude. It is a water coaster, and if you're going, what the fuck is a water coaster? So I don't know if you can see this clearly, but basically it is like a coaster that goes through a log flume. like, you know how at the end of lift 2 you go through the splash? The coaster goes into a water splash, and you're literally in the water while the coaster is still going.
Wow.
And I'm like, holy shit, that's badass. I would only go on a hot day. That is not something you want to go to when it's cold out.
But yeah, it's not like you're
Everyone
getting
for Texas.
splashed. You're literally drenched.
Yeah, exactly. It is the first multi-launch water coaster ever made, and it just sounds really fucking cool. I looked at it and I was just like, all of the shit they're showing on the promo art looks amazing. And it also kind of cracks me up because if you remember years ago when Ultra Twister was being opened up, we had the 2 Japanese designers, Hiro and Tommy, and they ended up coming over and they revamped the log flume. And they're the ones that redid all the computers in the log flume and everything. So I worked with them for an entire summer. And I kept on telling them, I want a log flume that goes, either like a coaster or it goes upside down. And it's so funny because whenever we were partying and they were drunk, they're like, 1 year we build your coaster. Never did, but they would tell me 1 year we like your idea. We build that coaster, I think it just sounds amazing. And it's supposed to open. Now, here's the funny part. It's supposed to open spring of this coming year. But what also made me laugh is I'm gonna share the article on our Facebook page. I stress, look at the comments on the article. The comments are the funniest goddamn thing because it's been up for so long, and it was kind of a reason I held off on bringing this one up. I wanted more comments to go up because just like all of like the Facebook groups I follow are like a lot of people that may or may not have worked at GA, but they love to shit on a park. Of course, when this article went up, all the locals in Texas are shitting on it. And like the first comment I see is a guy that says, oh, why don't they change their news to this? We're excited to announce the ride that should have opened a fucking year ago is now delayed another year. And it's just like, and then there's another one that says, how? It's been built for 2 whole ass years. What could possibly take another year for you to open up? This shit is just it made me die. I'm reading all these and I could not stop laughing. Ronald commented that he suspected the opening of this attraction could be delayed to coincide with the premiere of the Aquaman sequel, which should be releasing in 2023. Now, okay, maybe that's true. I mean, I literally just said that about the Guardians of the Tron ride, but can you imagine a ride being actually built for 2 years and they're like, eventually they're going to release the movie for that it's based on. Why don't we just hold off for 3 years, leave it there? Yeah, we're good.
Or they did like a test ride and it got completely messed up. They're like, oh, we need to rework something here.
That could be it, but I really want to visit Andy as a group and all ride it, so let's not say that, okay? Erica, our friend, just posted a link to YouTube with the rotating water slide. So she said it looks like only the top part rotates, and yeah, that is what it looks like in the conceptual art too. Now that it's open, though, I'm gonna do a search on YouTube. I didn't even think about doing it until this morning, but there's got to be people that have tried to video it. So there's got to be YouTube video of it. So I'm thinking it's probably out there. So.
Before you get to the next segment,
I know,
but
hey, did you get approved early leave? Did Andy approve you?
Andy gave me a pass.
Did you get somebody to fill in your
You bring a doctor's note.
Exactly. I had a note. I called ahead.
All right, Peluso, you're
awesome
free.
As always, guys, have a great holiday. Everybody listening, have great holidays. And I'll send you those pictures, see if they're worthy of the 5-day gingerbread house being built in the hotel. I'll send them over. And if I have anything good for my breakdown at Figment and my evacuation, I'll send that if I have anything good.
Nice.
Have a great one, guys. Thank you.
Peluso.
Take care,
Talk to you later.
All right, so. Oh, good. Erica said that's actually a live video of people riding it. All right, so I'm definitely going to check those out later today because I still can't wrap my head around how the hell it is as a rider on that thing. But it just, having worked water parks and slides for like a long time, that sounds interesting as shit. Like, I love when they come up with something new like that, like fully new. Like every time you hear like, oh, look, we're opening the newest, tallest roller coaster in the world. I'm like, you just extended the track by 5 fucking feet so you could take the title. It's the same shit. Like, that doesn't enthuse me at all. You're going to tell me you're going to take a roller coaster and make that shit go through water? All right. I want to try it. It's something totally new. I've never done that before. I want that.
I wish I should have asked this before Chris left, but there's a coaster in Disney that like it hits the water and it like uses it to slow itself down.
I went on that. I don't even remember the coaster. I went on that too. I know. This looks different though. The way they're in that.
That's like the Matterhorn.
What is it?
So that's like the Matterhorn.
Yeah.
When you hit the water at the bottom.
Exactly. This one looks different though, because it looks like they're actually going to put it like you're going in the water for a second. Like you're not skimming it, you're going in it. Oh. And that's different.
Yeah, that would be really
It looks like you're going in it like up to your fucking waist. That's what the concept art looks like. It may just be total bullshit. Who the hell knows, you know?
Just like a carve out, like, and there's walls or something. Because you can't have a coaster going through water like that fast, but we'll see.
Yeah, true.
We'll come visit, Dandy. We'll do it.
All right, boys. We got 15 minutes to go through a bunch of abandoned cool parks. So the point of these parks is anyone listening, look them up, because I cannot stress again, look them up on YouTube, Google them, and you're going to see really cool videos and pictures of these parks because they all have something really neat about them. But I tried to pick a smorgasbord of ones that I thought were really neat. So let's see. What do we got here? We got Nara Dreamland in Japan. Okay. So that's Nara Dreamland. That was a park that they opened to try to counter Disneyland in California. That was their goal. They opened it. It was open for 45 years. Opened in 1961. Closed permanently in 2006, purely because 2006, the attendance dropped so bad they couldn't keep it open anymore. It was left abandoned until 2016, and then it was finally demolished between 2016 and December 2017. It is so cool because it had a whole castle built to look exactly like Sleeping Beauty's castle. It's pretty badass looking, and it's like massive, right? It looked, I mean, honestly, they copied Disneyland.
Yeah, it sounds like copyright infringement.
They really did. Like they copied everything. They had their own version of the train depot, Main Street USA, Sleeping Beauty's castle was the hub. They had a Matterhorn type mountain with a bobsled ride called the bobsleigh. They had a skyway. They had, an Autopia ride, a monorail. I mean, it had its own mascots, which were Ren-chan and Dory-chan, which were like two children dressed as bearskin guards. So it was massively popular for a long time, drawing in like almost 2 million people a year. And then it just, as time went on, no maintenance, not enough maintenance, attendance dropped, finally shut down. It was so cool and creepy looking though, man. I mean, I watched video of it and it's just really, really cool to look at. And the shitty thing is it's not there anymore. So at this point, all you're ever going to see is a video because it's completely gone, but pretty cool. Another one that's really cool, and it is Disney, is Disney's own River Country. So River Country is pretty funny. River Country was open in 76. Closed indefinitely in 2001. And part of the reason it closed is because River Country was their first big river park. And what happened is, and it's River Country, Florida. It led to them creating their Typhoon Lagoon and their Blizzard Beach. And those drew so much more attendance, being the newer parks, that they actually screwed themselves sort of, where River Country just wasn't getting any more love. It became the old park. So, you know what I mean? And then they thought about reopening it supposedly in 2019, and they started doing a little bit of work on it, and then COVID hit, and they were just like done with that. But the cool thing about River Country is it's still there. It's one of those parks that all the urban explorers are trying to break into. They're still videoing. It's still fully there, and it's Disney. So if Disney want it, they have the money to reopen the damn thing. However, kind of like they're saying, they already have so many other ones. Is it really worth it at this point? Who knows? But it's one that's also pretty cool to look at, man. It had some neat stuff in it, and definitely worth checking out, looking at the videos for that one.
Did you ever go to River Country?
Have I ever been there? No. It's funny. The only parks so for Disney, I've never been to any of the California ones. I've been to everything at the Florida one at this point, except recent stuff. I haven't gone a lot in my adult life, but back when we were at the park, I went to Disney a lot, surprisingly, in Florida, and Universal too. And there was a while where like I got to the point where I didn't even want to go anymore because I was like, they have nothing new to offer. I've hit every one of those parks and everything in them. And that's rare because there's a lot in Disney Florida and Universal Florida. But I got to a point where I actually was getting burnt out. I was just going there to drink with friends. I didn't even care about the park anymore. Now they've opened up so much new stuff in the last, I've only gone a couple times in the last like 10 years. So now it's all new. I didn't hit Kong Island yet, and that will probably close before I even hit it at this point. You know what I mean? They have a lot of new stuff. I didn't hit the Guardians rides or anything. I didn't hit Star Wars yet. We're doing that next year, which is I'm super excited for. But it's like there's so much new stuff that for me it's going to be all new again. But nah, I'm also not a big water park fan. I avoid the water parks. I don't even like our water park. I mean, you even never caught me putting my foot in that Wild Canyon water ever. So, but how about you? Did you go on any of them?
I went once when I was, really small. I barely remember any of it. I do remember it was kind of neat that it really did seem like you were not in like a pool. It was more really felt like you were in like a, like an old swimming hole kind of setup.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, that was probably in 76 or 77. And and I never went again after that.
Yeah, but that's still cool because you still remember it being that cool. Like you have good memories of it, and that's awesome.
There really weren't water parks at the time, so that was pretty unique.
Yeah,
I've been to the other Disney water parks, and they're nice. It's Disney; it's definitely going to be nice, but it's not anything really that you can't get in any other water park.
Gotcha. All right, another cool one is Yongma Land, Yongma Land. Okay, and it's a small abandoned amusement park in Seoul, South Korea. It was closed due to low profits again. Okay. And here's what I love about this one. This is my favorite thing about this one. Scary looking as shit. Described by almost everyone that goes there as a Scooby-Doo horror thing right out of Scooby-Doo cartoons. Okay. Like the way it looks now. But here is where they are the one park I think is smarter than every other park that's ever shuttered. They reopened, and for $5 American, you can walk around the entire abandoned park. You can just walk around, take video, fuck around with shit. There's like nothing really open. It's not like but it's a tourist trap now. Like they literally said, well, we're not going to rip it down. We're not going to open it. Let's charge you $5 and let you walk in. So I'm like, and it looks really cool and scary. If I ever went to Korea, I would absolutely make an effort to go to this place for freaking $5 to walk around an abandoned amusement park that looks cool as shit on video. I'm in. I'm totally in, man. It has a lot of really cool things in there too. Like it had a lot of sci-fi like type stuff that they try to put in there and stuff. It was really neat, man. It's a cool park. I definitely say look up the video for it. But if nothing else, if you ever make it to Korea, you can go there. So it's a cool thing,
Put that on the list.
Yeah. This one I love. This one is really cool. So Ghost Town Village, formerly Ghost Town in the Sky at Ghost Mountain Park, is an abandoned Wild West themed amusement park in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. It's currently, as of October 2019, under contract for possible sale. This is an old thing, obviously. I have no idea what's going on with that park since then. Okay. Now here's the craziest thing. If you look this park up, it is literally on the top of a mountain. It's not a joke. And you had to take a ski lift to get into it. Supposedly.
That's cool.
And you could see it. It looks like the fire burn with the ski lift and everything. And it's so cool. Supposedly, one of the reasons the theme park ended up shutting down is because the ski lift kept breaking down and people would get stuck on it for like 3 hours. They couldn't get in or out of the park. So you're literally like, if your day was done, they're like, sorry, you can't leave. No way out. No way out. And even worse, you're trying to get into the park and you're stuck on a ski lift for 3 effing hours. You can't like that's half your day right there, right? So eventually that apparently led to its demise. But what's really cool is it was a ghost town. It was meant to look like a Western ghost town. The only place I even know of that does that is right here in New Jersey. We still fucking have Wild West City, which I've been telling Scott I want to go to every year, and I never make it there. That place has been there since we were little kids, and it's still open, and they turn into a full Wild West ghost town in October. So next year, we're doing it. I don't care. We're working that shit out. So, but this was the closest I've ever heard to Wild West City. And that's another good one that there's a lot of great video on. But the whole idea that you had to actually be transported up the mountain to even get to it is pretty crazy. That's pretty cool. Another one is Bushkill Park, Bushkill, Bushkill Park. It was located in Easton, Pennsylvania. Small amusement park, generally geared toward younger audiences. Fully closed down. Okay, operated until 2004, then shut down. Basically closed and been used for a bunch of other shit since then. Roller skating rinks, all kinds of random shit. What it was famous for, though, is it had 2 separate sets of bumper cars. And it also had the oldest funhouse in all of America at one point, which is pretty cool. Because remember the old funhouses, like in the Little Rascals shorts? Those things just don't exist like that anymore, but they were really cool. It had one of those.
Like a walkthrough funhouse?
Yeah. I don't know if theirs was a walkthrough or the ride one. Remember the ones where you just get on one little car? Like even Seaside had one, remember? And you get on the car.
Dark rides, yeah.
Yeah. So, and they also had 2 fully wooden carousels, completely wooden carousels. They were known for having a shitload of like older rides, and they looked really, really cool. The park did reopen for a 115th anniversary celebration in July of 2017. So, and that was all for like a fundraiser thing, but basically that one is defunct as well. Another one that's really cool is Camelot Theme Park. That was a resort and theme park located in English County of Lancashire. Okay, so that's an England one. But I cannot tell you enough how you should actually look it up, because it's all fucking King Arthur. And I loved King Arthur and the Round Table. Like I always like loved reading books about like Camelot. The fact that there was actually a park completely devoted to the whole entire theming of King Arthur and Camelot blows my mind. And of course, it's in England, not a surprise. Fully shut down, but they do say the site was used for a zombie horror experience attraction, Camelot Rises, between February and April of 2022. So that's pretty cool. And there's at this point their hotels have fully shut down, so now it's completely defunct. But it's really cool. The theming of it is badass. So that's another one I would definitely recommend people looking up. I think it just looks so freaking cool. There's another one that you could still find tons of video on called Fun Spot Amusement Park and Zoo. And that was in Angola, Indiana. The reason that one is cool is because it really echoes Great Adventure. They had a zoo. They had coasters. It really was like Great Adventure in Indiana, like a little Great Adventure. And eventually, as with everything, and at one time it boasted the only operating roller coaster called Afterburner with an inversion in the state of Indiana. And so it had its own, we have the only coaster, blah, 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 They closed in 2008, but that's another one. If you look at the videos, eerie as shit, man. Really freaking eerie, like totally worth watching. A really, really cool one is an abandoned water park called Ho Toi Tien in Vietnam. So it's HOTHUYTIEN. Okay. And this was a water park that the center of the water park was this massive dragon, and everything else was built around it in a circle. And to get to the park, it's in the middle of this massive freaking lake or river. I couldn't tell which it was, but it's got like 3 entryways to it that look like roads. And it's so cool looking. The dragon alone is so impressive that I was just like, holy shit. That's another one where the video you look at it and you go, I would have loved to have visited this, even though I hate water parks while it was open, just because it's that badass looking, And I don't go to
the cool thing, from a lot of these parks you're mentioning too, is that they all are unique. They're not just, everything's not just intellectual property, just re-theming of existing concepts and everything. They're all got their own thing going on.
Well, that's what I was trying to point out parks that are worth looking at the videos of, because even if they're not there anymore, they're so cool. Like what they had to offer was really neat, and it's sad that they're not there anymore. They're not just Keansburg. You know what I mean? They're not just like a simple little seaside amusement park. They had something special going on, Yeah, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, except Youngma or whatever it was, the one that
Oh.
was like knockoff.
Well, I mean, that one still looks cool though. So, quick one. There is a unique abandoned theme park in Arkansas called Dinosaur World. Okay. And Dinosaur World was formerly John Agar's World of Kong, and it was a thriving and expansive dinosaur themed park. Opened in the 60s, sadly closed in 2005, once contained over 100 life-size statues of dinosaurs and the world's largest statue of King Kong. Set near Eureka Springs, in what people have called the middle of fucking nowhere, the theme park is surrounded by forest. Today, over a decade from the time it's closed, it's still there, just fading in the forest, but almost all those goddamn like dinosaurs are still sitting out there. That's another one that the video is, if you love dinosaurs or King Kong, so cool to look at, man. I mean, just so cool to look at. Surprisingly, as we talk about there being a Land of Oz being built in Australia, there is a Land of Oz theme park that was based on Frank Baum's Land of Oz, located in Beach Mountain, North Carolina. It opened in 1970, and then it went through a whole bunch of different shit and ended up closing. Closing in, it looks like 1980. And then it reopened in 2019, like for like Fridays only, like for some weird like Journey with Dorothy tours or some type of bullshit. It is worth looking at the video because it really is the Land of Oz. Like, they had everything, the fucking yellow brick road, they had the castles, they had people as monkeys, they had the Cowardly Lion walking around and the Tin Man walking around. They had video of everything while they were open. And it really, if you like the Wizard of Oz, it looked like they did it right, but I guess they just couldn't keep it open long enough. You know what I mean? I guess they just couldn't. At the end of the day, kind of like you're saying, yes, Wizard of Oz is a great nostalgia thing, but nobody fucking knows it that much anymore. It's not like to the kids today, they're gonna be like, I have to go to Wizard of Oz. It's like, I think it's not a big deal anymore. So,
And all these small little, mom and pop amusement parks, they really run on such small, tight profit margins. It only takes a couple of years, maybe even just bad weather to
for
put
sure.
them under.
For sure. Joyland Amusement Park in Wichita, Kansas, opened in 1949. It was like a massive park. Everybody loved it until it closed in 2006. It is probably the creepiest one to watch because if you look it up in the video, it's gone through so much shit since then. Like everything from like vandalism, theft to people burning buildings on the site, that it is the scariest damn place ever. And one of the things that kind of shut this one down, which is sad, is it had about 25 rides and it had a nightmare roller coaster. And apparently what ended up happening to them is that as with these smaller parks, maintenance got shittier. And apparently a girl fell off of their Ferris wheel and died. And then that caused an investigation. And during the investigation, they found that a lot of their rides were not being properly maintained. And it just snowballed. And that was it. That just basically crapped them right out. So they end up getting crapped out because of that. But the videos of that one are really creepy because of the state the park is in right now. And that's another one where urban explorers keep going in. So a lot of video online of that. There are two. Our final two are Six Flags ones. There is one that was, I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong, Guaga Lake. It's Geauga.
Cayuga.
Cayuga? Okay.
Cayuga.
Cayuga. Say it again.
Cayuga Lake.
It just sounds fun to say. Cayuga.
Yeah.
At one time, it was actually renamed Six Flags Ohio, and then it was combined with two parks under the name Six Flags Worlds of Adventure. So it's definitely gone through a lot of changes.
There was a SeaWorld park, because I've heard a little bit of a story of this, across the lake from it also.
Yep.
So there were two really pretty big amusement parks in that area.
That was Cayuga Lake and Wildwater Kingdom. Yep, you were absolutely right. And that's another one that is like just fucking creepy as shit, man. Like, and that one you can actually see stuff coming down. There's video of like the roller coasters being torn down and stuff. So that one's kind of fun to watch the videos of. And then the one that is absolutely the most famous abandoned amusement park that we'll end on, which is perfect since we're running out of time, is Six Flags New Orleans, the park that we opened with. And that one's kind of a heartbreaker, man. It first opened as Jazzland in 2000. You know, it ended up being bought by Six Flags 2002, and you know, because they were going bankrupt. And it was apparently a really good park. Like, people loved it. It did really good. And then Katrina came in and fucked that park up, man. Just put it completely underwater. It was underwater for a long period of time. And that is the probably most famous one because it is a full-size theme park that is still just sitting there. So urban explorers are constantly breaking in. And then it's because it's so like expansive, though, regular news stations keep doing, like, that's a news report that we started the podcast with, and that they got a permission to go there. But even then, you could see that guy was actually doing the same thing where he's kind of like, oh, can I walk up the coaster? I'll walk up this weird coaster, you know? And it's like that one, there's so much video of, it's kind of crazy, man. That's the one I would say, if you really want to enjoy looking at like abandoned amusement park videos, that's a really good one. That's a really, really good one. And the last thing I'll close with is we do like to talk about some, you know, other things. Stephen King, since we talked about the Joyland amusement park that was closed, ironically, Stephen King put out a book called Joyland. And it's not his typical book because it's part of hard case crime novels where Stephen King did a lot of famous authors will write books for this publisher. And they're all meant to be like old, like Mickey Spillane detective novel type stories. Okay. So if your story isn't really like that type of detective story, they won't take it. But what they do is they get these really great authors that do their own spins on it. So Joyland is all about a kid who's like 18, getting ready to go to his first year in college, and he leaves and he goes to a local park, which is extremely like Wildwood. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's called Joyland. And there is absolutely a murder mystery where somebody was supposedly killed in the funhouse. And that becomes a central story that he's focused on. But what it really focuses on the most is the day-to-day of working an amusement park, like a local seasonal amusement park, because it is a seaside amusement park, very much like Wildwood. So in the winter, it shuts down. In the summer, it opens. And it's like kind of cool because like they have their own mascot, and he gets picked by the park owner. And it's just one dude that owns the park, one old guy, and he gets picked to wear the fur, which is what they call the guy that has to be in the mascot. But they make such a point of, it's like Stephen King, for a guy who's never worked in an amusement park, he has a pretty good writing and understanding of stuff that's gone in. You can tell he did some investigation into like what it's like to work at him, because when he talks about it, they talk about like he gets dehydrated. He doesn't, they tell him right off the bat, they're like, if you do not drink a lot of water in between, you are going to die, you know, like you're going to die. And at one point he stops doing it like an idiot and completely passes out, you know. It's like, but it's so cool because you're getting, and there's of course a little supernatural twinge that he adds to it because it's fucking Stephen King, you know, but it is a very quick read. And if you love amusement parks, I can't recommend it enough. And it's funny because I had this book for so freaking long and I didn't finally read it until this past summer. And I'm like, I knocked it out in like a day. And I'm like literally like an hour and a half. And I'm like, why did I wait so long? It's fantastic. And it's completely like made for people that work at theme parks. Like it's meant for us, you know? So pretty badass. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. Joyland by Stephen King. And with that, boys, we're out of time. These things just we hit the hour and a half mark so damn fast.
Yeah, time flies.
All right. Well, thanks everybody that joined us. Our buddy Spanky's posted a bunch of stuff in the comments. So Spank will read all that when we get out of here, and we appreciate it. Thanks everyone that joined us live on Facebook Live. Thanks everybody that listens to us on the audio. With that, I will shut it down. And my name is Steve Hicks, and my co-hosts are
Scott Loudon and Chris
Auletti.
And
Chris Peluso.
and fucking Peluso. All right. Thanks everybody. Make it a great day, guys. We'll see you all soon.
Bye, guys.